Welcome back, everyone. This is Tim Laskus, and you're listening to The Tim Laskus Show, episode 35. And today's featured guest is Matt Belair. But before I tell you about Matt, let me tell you where you can get a free ebook. Run on over to my website, timlaskus.com, TIMLASKIS.com, and get your free ebook. On the homepage, you'll see the little sign up, put your name, put your email address, and boom, bam, automatically, you'll get an ebook sent to you. It's the same one I sell on Amazon, and I'm not going to charge you a thing. It's free, not a zip, nothing. How great is that? So go on over to timlaskus.com and get your free ebook. Also, I've started offering, for those of you who are interested in podcasting and how it could change your life, I'm offering podcast coaching. So go to my coaching page and check that out as well. Now, on the Belair. What? Thinking of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. No, we're talking about Matt Belair. And Matt Belair is a businessman with some very unique kind of thoughts and philosophies. He has a coaching service, trainings and seminars, and he has a DVD series. He's done a lot of work with athletes, and he used to be a coach for professional snowboarders. He's also traveled the world. He has lived in Thailand and mixed it up with the MMA fighters over there, kick you in the teeth kind of stuff. Love that. Meditation. He's been to Nepal and studied meditation, sitting up on top of a mountain with no clothes. I don't know what he was wearing, but you think of Nepal, you think of meditation and all that good stuff. Matt covered some kind of really interesting, he's got some fascinating ideas that some of you are going to scratch your head. I know. He talks about aliens. Aliens do exist, according to Matt Belair. Aliens exist. He also brings up organ harvesting in China. What? Who knew organ harvesting? This is something out of a book. No, he says it's real. So you got to stay tuned because this is some interesting stuff. Enjoy.
The Tim Laskus Show, in search of entrepreneurial gold. Tim digs deep into the minds of his guests. Entertaining, down to earth, and informative. Now, here's your host, Tim Laskus.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Tim Laskus Show, and I am super excited today to have the Fresh Prince of, it's Matt Belair. Matt Belair, not the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Matt, thank you for joining me today.
My pleasure, brother. Thank you so much for having me.
Hey, you were into all kinds of stuff, and you were talking about mindfulness and sports. Tell the listeners a little bit about what you do outside of business.
Well, man, I like to explore. I like to travel, skateboard, snowboard, any kind of sport, movement, gymnastics, parkour, and then a lot of transformational festivals like Burning Man, Symbiosis, Lightning in a Bottle, and studying mindfulness, going to seminars, doing weird things like meditate and Wim Hof breathing and all that kind of stuff. So that's what I like to do for fun.
Now, parkour is like when people run around and jumping over obstacles and like Batman, like, I don't know, Spider-Man kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Doing flips off of
Yeah,
curbs.
pretty much. I pretty much just like backflipping off everything. But if I find some stuff to parkour around, I do. But yeah, just kind of like being able to flip and maneuver in gymnastics and, trampoline and all that kind of fun stuff.
Wow. I'm envious. My back is all beat up. I don't think I could do that. But I love watching the Ninja Warrior, the competition they used to have on TV. I don't know if it's still on TV. And they had some parkour guys who were out there competing. You ever done that?
I haven't, but that'd be fun. I'd love to do that.
Yeah, that looks super cool, especially when they fall in the water and, they do this whole big special on these guys and they're supposed to be some of the top and then they don't even get through the first obstacle. They're like, boom, right in the water or something. And I'm like, oh man, all that training. But
yeah, exactly. Oh man.
But it looks cool. Definitely. So, well, tell the listeners a little bit about yourself professionally. What are you currently working on?
So professionally, I did marketing for a long time to pay the bills. But I was actually a snowboard coach. I traveled around the world as a professional snowboard coach. Then I've been studying mindset, mind power, psychology my whole life, and recently wrote a book called Zen Athlete. So by the time this podcast is out there, the book will be out for sale on Amazon. So it's basically a compilation of all the best sports psychology techniques and mindset techniques that I've learned over a lifetime of study, being a martial artist and pursuing, mindset, mind power, superhuman stuff like that. And then because of my background in psychology, persuasion, and things like that, it's made me a very efficient marketer. So I'm also very good at crowdfunding, and I'm working on some incredible products. What am I trying to say? Initiatives that we're creating. One big thing that we're going to be doing is a transformational festival to bring awareness to the organ harvesting that's going on in China. So most people are unaware that China is literally putting people in jail. And then they're taking their organs. It's super, super messed up. And so I'm part of basically a small team that needs to popularize this atrocity that's happening on the planet and look for a solution. So not like, it's doomsday. It is terrible, but, we got to put some awareness. So I'm into all kinds of things, man. it's so much stuff.
Wait a minute. You covered so much. Man, let me back up a little bit. Organ harvesting. I thought that was just like fake news that was out there. You're saying that's real?
Oh, dude, yeah. Fake news. Geez, 1984, George Orwell. Like, yes, it's real. So I'm working with a guy. His name's Nick Janicki. He's the owner of True Rest. He has his own float tank technology. He's a very successful businessman. He's using his own money to fund this because they're targeting specifically Falun Dafa meditators. And if you go to Shun Yin show, it's this incredible artistic dance, Asian dance, and he knows people personally. And the reason why it's called Blacklisted, the event we're going to do, it's going to be in LA, it's called Blacklisted, is because Miss Canada has came out and talked about it. Johnny Depp has talked about it. Brad Pitt has talked about it, and they can't go into China because of it. So yes, it's very real.
Wow. I mean, that's some scary stuff that you could be snatched up off the street and taken somewhere and wake up or not wake up and organs are missing. That is, man, that's mind-blowing.
Yeah, that's it, man. It's like heavy stuff, like my personal work is, I want to popularize the mental game of sport. Like I want to make what I learned in martial arts, the development of mind, body, spirit in all sport. And also I'm working with business guys and leadership, because if you take the mindset that's necessary to do a trick that's never been done before, or to perform at elite extreme sports athletes level, like an extreme sports athlete is a level up on any other pro athlete, because we're putting our body on the line. And so if you take that level of mental game necessary and you apply that to business and leadership, you're so far ahead of the rest. But really what I'm passionate about is it's a guide to self-mastery. Martial arts is a guide to self-mastery. So, when these pro athletes start inspiring kids to learn about meditation, understanding their beliefs, learning about self-hypnosis, which is super freaking easy, learning how to install beliefs into your mind, which is super easy, learning how to create your reality, we can make a major shift. And this is like one small thing, but there's really messed up stuff on the planet. We're going through a very big planetary awakening. When I talk about my podcast, like my whole life I've been looking for superhumans, but sport is a way to get people to open up. And then once they realize they can master their self, their reality, that's only step one. We have a lot of work to do on this planet. So, the people that I'm involved with, the technologies that I'm involved with are very game changing. And most people, even my friends, they can hardly believe the stuff that I tell them, because they're not in that. And I'm like, look, man, trust me. Like, I know it's a big stretch, but it's your work. You know what I mean? If you were, a marine biologist and you didn't know anything about marine biology, you would be confused. So, it's just a field of work that is not that common. But there's big things on the planet that we need to fix. We need to fix ourselves as individuals and create happy, harmonious lives. And then we need to take care of the messed up crap that is going on the planet, because there is messed up crap happening. And we all need food. We all need water. We all need shelter. And people need to not be killing each other in wars. And people definitely don't need to be having their organs harvested in freaking China because of some sort of messed up stuff. So we need to bring awareness to these things and live on a planet that, as a human species, we are all proud of. You know what I mean? Like, I like to say that we need to have a species that's proud to stand among the stars, because if aliens exist, which they do 100%, watch Gaia TV, that's something that you'll get to. We need to we need to have a race that if we worked all together, imagine Canada, Sweden, Norway, China, everybody is together on the same page. We would kick ass, but we have systems in place that make us in competition, and it's all messed up. So the people can decide, what technologies, what things we want to bring to light. And like I said, I'm in groups of people working on some pretty incredible stuff. And by the time this podcast comes out, we'll probably have some of these technologies coming out, and they're there. And so that's where crowdfunding is exciting, because we can start funding these technologies and we can build this new world together, these new communities, these new things. So that's a lot.
Right. Well, it sounds like you were tackling a lot, Matt, but let me back up a little bit, going to the mental side of the sports and performance. I was going to ask you, and you kind of answered this a little bit, that how well received this has been from people that you've worked with, because I'm a mental skills coach with professional athletes, with motocross racers. And in the sport of motocross, the sports psychology and mental skills coaching is very, very new, although it's been around, and many other sports have embraced it years ago. Most of the NFL, the NBA, and baseball, they've all have, and even NASCAR has, embraced a sports psychology or a mental skills coach of some sort and brought them on the team to work with their players or drivers or whoever they might be. But NASCAR, or not NASCAR, but Supercross and motocross is very, very late in the game, and it's been difficult to get some of these guys. Now they're starting to believe, but it's taken a while. What kind of response have you gotten?
Honestly, for me, it's really interesting business-wise, because I know a thing or two about just marketing and business. It's stupid. You're not supposed to go into a market that people don't want. And I've known that people, like when I was in snowboarding, I would ask really amazing riders how the heck they can do that amazing trick, and they never knew how. The guys just do it. You know what I mean? They don't really care about visualization and things like that. But, from what I learned from martial arts, even just the basics, when I would teach that to an athlete when I was training snowboarding, they would get so much better so much quicker. And so I'm training a few athletes and they're having incredible results. And that's why, my goal is to popularize this, is getting these the world leading athletes like LeBron James, I don't know, whoever it is in baseball and football and hockey, Sidney Crosby, I know that one, Lionel Messi, and have them go through this and then, share with kids their own form of meditation or mental skills or whatever, because it hasn't been adopted and it should be adopted and it works. And, so I don't go trying to, get a lot, but I will definitely say I'm on that spin where people are really slow to adopt this, because it's more males than females do sport, but more females will be down with the mental training because biologically they are more about protecting themselves, where the guy is just like, I'm going to go do this. I don't need, mental skills training, because they perceive it as something's wrong with them, not you could actually go a level up with this information. Like I train with Shaolin monks in China, and one of the masters could break stone with 2 fingers that was like an inch thick. He could break one even thicker over the top of his head, and all points of his body. And pretty much every one of the masters could break some sort of, even the staffs and things like that through mental mastery, and it's mental and physical mastery. So I know that it's needed. I know that it works. And in my book, in the first chapter, I'm like, I don't give a crap if you don't think this works. I'm not going to waste my time convincing you this works. If you don't know what works, you got a lot of growing up to do. But if you want to know the techniques, here they are. It's kind of like squats, squats work. If you want strong legs, you go do squats. I'm not going to waste, 10 pages or chapters in my book explaining what happens to your legs when you go down and you stand back up, in the central nervous system and all that kind of stuff. If you want to go get that book is out there. You can go find it. But I'm all about how do I get stronger? If I want strong legs, what are the best techniques in the world? If I want to get a result on my snowboard or in sport or in business, I want to know the best mental techniques in the world. And that's what I've studied my entire life. So everything in there is a technique and a tool that I know has worked for myself, my athletes, my friends, and the world's greatest athletes of all time. So it's, we're fighting an uphill battle pretty much.
Well, it makes sense. And you throw in a lot of good stuff in there, but I wanted to go back a little bit. You mentioned aliens. Do you think aliens exist?
I know
Is
they
that
exist.
what you were saying, or did I misunderstand you?
No, I know they exist, man. 100%. If people are gonna have to, it's hard, man, because like, people are like, oh, aliens was a tough one for me too. I was like, but then, I had some experiences. Number one, look up ayahuasca. That's a plant medicine. If you don't know about that, you'll call it a psychedelic, but everybody who's ever done it knows it's a plant medicine. I can also leave my body through a breath technique. If you're listening to this podcast, I can send you the breath technique. It's called the Nandajiri. Lots of people can do this. This is training that has been around. Like, what one person's reality is their upbringing. My upbringing was a martial artist. I was doing this stuff as a kid. I was working with energy and things like that. And it's not mystical at all. It's just doing things that, how often do you sit and meditate? You know what I mean? I've meditated for hundreds and hundreds of hours. You know what I mean? You get a result. If you never go to the gym, you probably don't know what it's like to be really strong. At 170 pounds, could deadlift 463 pounds because I got the right workout through Pavel Tatsulin from Tim Ferriss. It was, and I was still really like, I wasn't huge, like muscly. I just wanted to be strong. And Pavel Tatsulin has the hacks for strength, and it's just effective, man. It's amazing. So a long way around is like, if you go to Gaia TV, and you get a membership there, you can learn all about it. It's very specific information. There's tons of people out there. And the thing is, man, like, you look up Nassim Haramein, and you listen to these guys talk, they're astrophysicists, you know what I mean? And, in the group, I could spend all the time like trying to convince you. I don't care if you believe they exist or don't exist. I know they exist. It's frequencies. It's like frequency bands. But if you go to Gaia TV or look up Nassim Haramein or Stephen Greer, and you just look at the information, don't believe what I'm saying. Don't believe what anyone says, but look and feel it around in your gut. You think you're the only one in the universe, like just have a peek. And the problem is, so part of where I am now is I started to study social conditioning. I was confused at how we still had war at 15. So I started looking into war and how that worked. And that's when I went down a conspiracy rabbit hole. That's how I learned about Edward Bernays and how whole societies and people are conditioned. That's when I learned about the school system and how they focus on the left brain, box it in with logic and tell you what it is, and realize, when I was like 19, I was like, holy crap, I have to unlearn everything. Like most of what I learned is a lie or manipulated in some way. Same with religion. My podcast is on religion and spirituality and self-development. And I'm not religious at all, but I'm aware of ascended masters. Yogananda, Jesus, Babaji, Muhammad, they were all real. They're all people. They all did things, but you take a story and then you twist it. And then now you've controlled the spirit of a species. So it's some big stuff, man. It's a big game. It's a big game.
There's a lot going on.
It's a big game, man.
You definitely have thought about a lot of stuff that, man, I've not even had the time to even go there. But so, speaking of you being able to tackle so many different areas and understanding the world, the universe, and people on this planet and people on other planets, like, when did all this begin? Were you like a toddler, like just so inquisitive? When were you just kind of into learning and understanding the world?
Yeah, man, I get that a lot. I was born like this. A lot of people that I'm noticing now, I'm going to be 33 in a few days. And I'm noticing in the people like that they're waking up and changing their lives. And like, I was doing this and then I woke up and changed my life. And, then I realized, holy crap, it's not what it was all meant to be. And then they're into like, hey man, like, do you know about meditation? Like, what's the deal with aliens? Like, what's going on there? You know what I mean? And I'm like trying to help them. But I was just born like this. Like I said, Bruce Lee was my mentor. I was born just curious. I wanted to know what I was capable of and what humans were capable of. So I spent my whole life studying as a martial artist. At 15, I'm reading books on enlightenment and practicing astral projection. So that was normal for me because I was so curious. It's the same thing as someone's curious about plants or computers or graphic design or anything, you know what I mean? Like I was just really curious about the human body and the human mind and consciousness, essentially. So all of this stuff is, this is outer stuff. You're hearing it with you're rolling it around with your own experiences. So anyone thinking about this, like if they grew up in like, let's say the deep South in a really racist, community, and they're going to have and their parents were racist, their grandparents were racist. They're going to have a different view of this, and they're going to have a different view on all their cultures. You grow up in, let's say, Oregon or California or Canada or Sweden, different educational systems, different things, you're going to have a different perception on your reality. So it's very important to understand you're only seeing through your lens. So don't believe what I'm saying at like, okay, like this is what he's saying, but roll it around in your heart and keep an open mind to possibility, because is the information limiting you or liberating you? You know what I mean? I don't need to defend, I'm not going to get in an argument. I don't care if you believe anything I say. I just want to know my own truth and the truth. And there is a very big difference between the truth and not the truth. You know what I mean? And you know it. And you learn that yourself through self-discovery. So I've always been made like this, and it's been a long process of, there's so much misinformation and bullcrap out there. So you really gotta, and yeah, the whole fake news thing, that came from like 1984. When I was in my early 20s, I was talking to my friends about conspiracy stuff, and they couldn't believe me. And half of that stuff happened. They still like vote, you know what I mean? It's like voting between like McDonald's and Burger King. It's the same group of people behind it. And they're like, oh, well, that can't be the way. Well, study money. Look at Lou Rockwell. Look at, if you follow the money trail, like you can figure this out, but it's a lot of effort. And most people don't have that kind of time. They'd rather just make a judgment and tell you what they believe. And that's totally fine. All I'm suggesting is you don't need to learn all this stuff. What I would learn that's most important is, who are you? What do you want to do? What do you want to create in your life? Focus on love, focus on your own expansion and whatever that is. And don't worry about the rest. You know what I mean? Find your own specialty and go there, because there's infinite things to learn.
Right. And speaking about money, you mentioned money. What are some of your core beliefs about money? Are you into, some people talk about being able to manifest money, or some people think money is the root of evil. What are your core beliefs about money and making it?
So any like planet with money is a slave planet. You know what I mean? We're in a, like money is they call it fiat currency, fake currency. It's a big joke. The Federal Reserve is not even owned by or controlled by the government. It's like a private entity. Like, think about that for a second. You pay taxes, it goes to the Federal Reserve. You vote for someone, it doesn't even matter what you think, because it's a separate entity. So yes, it controls us, but we need it because it allows us freedom. It allows us to do what we need, to buy stuff. But so you need it, but what you got to realize is that, watch out for the American dream. Do you need a Mercedes and a big house? And, it's a trap. It is a big trap. So you have to focus on, you don't have to do anything, do whatever the heck you want. So, but you got to let a lot of stuff go to focus on what you're passionate about. Alan Watts has a really great, talk, and he just basically says, do what you would do, if you had all the money ever, what would you do? If money were no object, what would you be doing every single day? And do that. And you can usually do it for a lot less money than you think. So, but an abundance. So, I studied law of attraction with Michael Lozier, who's my mentor. He wrote the book, The Law of Attraction, based on NLP, which is neuro-linguistic programming. So really good, really practical tools on it. And you can reframe money to abundance, right? So one girl wanted to travel the world, right? And she's like, oh, I need this certain amount of money to travel the world to all these different spots and take photos. Well, we opened her up. We helped her. This is a story that I heard Michael say. He helped her like open up to the possibility of getting clear what she actually wanted. So she wanted to travel the world, take photos. And what happened was she manifested getting invited to resorts in these different places to take photos, and actually got paid, and now just travels the world taking photos for resorts and things like that. So you got to learn. There's little tricks and little hacks to, basically you're in the matrix. You know what I mean? That's the truth. You're in the matrix. And you got to learn how to hack out of the matrix. Sevan Bomar is really interesting. Look at his stuff in like Interversity and what's going on. But you kind of got to understand that you're in a matrix, and money is a part of that thing. And then you got to get your butt out of the matrix. But so many people fall for the crap, and they put themselves in debt, and then they screw themselves, and they work in a job that they hate. So just focus on what you love, what's most important. How would you live if you have $1 million, $1 trillion every day? What would you do? Think about that and start doing those things, and it's going to work out for you. But you have to sacrifice a lot. You have to sacrifice a lot to do that. So it's a challenge, man. Money is a real big bugger, and just try to create empowering beliefs around it. Money and resources come to me, but realize it doesn't have to be money. Focus on what you want. So when I wanted to snowboard around the world, I didn't know how I was going to do that. I just knew I wanted to snowboard around the world, and I became a professional coach and got flown around the world, training athletes, doing all this kind of thing. So, but that's what I would have done. If I could have done anything and had $1 trillion every day, I would have snowboarded every day, and I did it. And so just get really clear on what it is that you actually want and realize that resources can come to help you. It doesn't necessarily just need to be money.
Interesting. Yeah. That's great advice. And again, you're into so much that's out there going on in the world. At times, do you ever get stressed out? Do you ever get burned out? And if so, how do you manage it?
Yeah, I get stressed. I get less stressed, like not a lot. But I'll give you an example. I was at Burning Man, and there was this wedding, a double wedding, and Burning Man is awesome to me, and it can be challenging for other people too. It's a whole vortex and craziness in itself, but it's pretty darn amazing.
Explain a little bit about people who don't know what Burning Man is.
Burning Man is the biggest festival on the planet in the desert, and it's for 7 days, and it's sheer wildness. They build their own city called Black Rock City. There's 10 tenets that people don't really realize, which are basically don't be an a-hole, be kind to each other. It's radical inclusion, radical self-reliance, immediacy. So there's 10 tenets of basically just be cool, man. And what thing people don't realize is there's gifting and there's no economy. You can't buy anything there. The only thing you can buy is ice and coffee, which is kind of funny at Center Camp. And so right away you realize you're just getting gifted things. You know what I mean? It's like really interesting. So there's no commerce, and the vibration and the energy of Burning Man is amazing. And to go on the alien front thing, like there's groups there that are like just aware that it just is. It's like if you don't know that they exist, like I can tell you that you're a slow adopter. It's just not in the mainstream media yet. And I kept hitting it, and I did not like it. I rejected it for years and years until I got it, and all of my research put it there. But there's so much disinformation on what is actually going on, what it means. They're not here like in little people and, the way people it's perceived. It's more like frequency bands, but they are here in like a different kind of way. It's complicated, and I really don't fully understand it. I just know that there's all different kinds, and they're influencing it. And so that's another thing about Burning Man. But, you go into these groups and they talk about different things very openly. Nassim Haramein was there talking about it. He's an astrophysicist. I guarantee he is smarter than you are by a long shot. You know what I mean? He's way, way smarter than me, like the stuff that he's working on. And I went through hours and hours and hours of his lectures, and they're insane, man. They're totally insane. I have no idea what he's talking about. And I'm like, oh my God. But then you just roll it around in your heart and in your mind. And if it makes sense and it resonates, take it. And if it doesn't, reject it. That's totally fine, right? Think for yourself. So Burning Man is gnarly, super amazing. So these two people are getting married, and there's 2 sets. And the second one is like, he's talking about his brother, and he goes, my brother is one of the most amazing people that I've ever met. He's done a lot of amazing things in his life, but I remember 2 years ago, he was really stressed out about something, and he looked at me and he goes, you know what? I'm just not going to be stressed anymore. And he's like, I can honestly tell you it's been over 2 years and I have never seen him stressed since. So that ability to just drop something is possible. Now, I can't do that, but I'm pretty good at it. It's just like basically when I get stressed, and this happened to me recently, I say, the universe is on my side and everything is for my highest good. It's directing me. So I got stuck in an airport on standby for 3 days when I was trying to get to my girlfriend. And man, I was taking my medicine and I was super pissed off. I spent like $220 American, and I'm Canadian. So the exchange rate's awful. So it's like $300 and didn't have an abundance of money at all. So it's just kicking me right in the nuts. And I'm just like taking my medicine, like everything is for my highest good. And so I would literally go through deep frustration and rage, but I wouldn't stay there, and I would just trust and have faith. Turns out on the 3rd day, this girl just walks into my friend's apartment, and she walked into the wrong one. It's a good friend of mine I was staying, and she knows Richard Branson and this is South by Southwest in Austin, and she's going to this exclusive white party with basically really amazing, incredibly successful entrepreneurs mixed with adventurers and extreme sports athletes. And so we get invited to that. So I end up on that boat party and meet people that I'm now connected to and going to be working with in some sort of capacity, and made friends, like super amazing, powerful, lifelong friends, just on that. So that's how I was able to transmute that, right? I take that challenge and it has to be for my highest good. Like another example is Bruce Lee breaking his back in his early 20s. And they told him he was he was going to barely walk and he's never going to be able to kick over his head again. Well, he didn't take that as a belief, and he healed his body with his mind, which you can do. Look up Dr. Joe Dispenza. He also talks about beings and things. He's more on the science side, so he tries not to, but he has a DMT. Your DMT is your third eye. It's a pineal gland. It's a part of your brain. When you activate this pineal gland, you basically go to another dimension kind of deal. And anybody can do it. That's what yogis are doing. That's what ayahuasca does. That's part of what Joe Dispenza does in his workshops. You can kind of do it with Wim Hof breathing. Oh crap! I was rambling. I can't even remember where I was going.
Okay, so there's a lot of you kind of lost me. So for you to be able to to overcome burnout, you heal yourself. You're saying that you focus
yeah. Okay, so I was gonna reach back to.
Yeah, I'm trying to wrap my head. You said a lot. There was a mouthful.
I know. I'm trying to stick a lot in here.
Did you drink a couple of Red Bulls? Did you drink a Monster and a Red Bull, like double fist?
No, man. This is the energy. Okay. I know.
This is natural energy, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, man. I got a limited time. Okay, so Bruce Lee broke his back. They told him he's never gonna walk. He healed his body, and then that's why I went to Dr. Joe Dispenza. He has the leading science. Someone again who I studied, went to his workshops. People who had cancer, no problem, healed it. Not everybody does, but he has many cases, and he has Kundalini experiences, basically out of body experiences caught on EEG scans. So you are so infinitely powerful, it's ridiculous. So basically, Bruce Lee read all these books when he was he was out for 8 months. He healed his body. He was able to kick. He came back. And then after that, people in the world knew him as the greatest martial artist of all time because he overcame adversity. He could have just said, oh, I'm never going to walk again. I'm done. He said, no, hell no. I'm a martial artist. I can heal my body. I know what I'm capable of, and I'm going to do it. And he read more about martial arts in that time, in that bed, and he became a way better martial arts. And he said, that's what really defined me as a martial artist, how much I learned just sitting there because I never had the time before. I was just doing what I knew. So we can take Catalyst and we can heal it. So how you overcome stress is just realizing that literally, basically what I say enlightenment is two things: taking 100% responsibility for yourself, even the shitty stuff, especially the shitty stuff, because if you don't, then you're a victim and you're not a creator. So you take that shitty stuff, which is alchemy, which is coal, you know what I mean? It's lead to transmute into gold. And so you take that challenge and that shittiness and that injury and that me being stuck at the airport, transmute that and be like, the universe is on my side. This is for my highest good. I can overcome this. Then you transmute that into gold, become the world's most famous martial artist, connect to people that you need to connect to through that perspective, because otherwise you're just a victim and your life sucks. So there you go.
There you go. We have everything we need, and do not be a victim. That kind of wraps it up right there. And you talked about having all these wonderful experiences, man. You've been around the world. You've done all kinds of things. You've studied from all sorts of mentors. What's been one of the most fulfilling moments? What stands out? Was it sitting on the top of a mountain? And
I did trek Everest.
Did you go to the top? Did you go to base camp?
I went to base camp. You can trek past that, but it's like weeks and you got to know what you're doing. And I don't know what I'm doing. So I just went to base camp. That was satisfying. Meditating with.
Hey, Wim Hof went there with no shirt, no shoes. I don't even think he wore underwear on the way up there.
Yeah, Wim Hof, dude, he's the man. And he's another superhuman. People told him that, he couldn't do all this stuff. And then he did it and he defies science. And they injected him with a disease. And they're like, you can't. He's like, you can heal your body from disease. They inject him with the disease. He it doesn't work. He heals himself. And he's like, oh, it's just you. So he gets his students and they do it too. We're so bloody powerful, man. So for me, I don't know. It's like, it's the ride. So I'd say Shaolin monks was a highlight. Everest was a highlight. Snowboarding in the Alps was a highlight. I got a highlight reel of existence because I make it that way. And it's not freaking easy. I choose it, and you have to do it with like so much faith. Dr. Joe Dispenza's workshop was a highlight. I love learning. I love exploring the planet. I love exploring myself. Being in koala habitat for 4 months, I did that in my early 20s, reading, writing, meditating. So that was really awesome. So yeah, man, tons. Burning Man's dope.
Man, you've done some cool stuff. Absolutely. And we could probably have a couple of shows all on this, Matt. You've got a wealth of information, a lot going on, lots of energy. I love it. But we've come to the end of the show. We're running out of time. But before we go, why don't you tell the audience where they can find you online?
Yeah, sure. Hit me up at mattbelair.com, as it sounds, zenathlete.com. I definitely invite. I'm putting out for free now. There's a meditation that I have. It's like a hypnosis experience that hypnotizes you in your heart to know your life purpose. It is by far the best thing that I have ever seen, and because I try everything. Like everything. You could tell me to eat, jubes and spin around in 10 circles and then, I don't know, quack like a duck and I'll reach enlightenment. I'll try it. I try everything. So this meditation is by far the best thing that I've ever seen to understand what your mission, purpose, connect to your higher self is, to understand what you want to do with your life. So I highly recommend going to mattbelair.com, getting that. It's for free. You can have it. It is my gift to you. And Zen Athlete is a course in self-mastery. I don't care what you're doing, business, sport, leadership, relation, whatever you're doing, it's all the best techniques I've ever learned about self-mastery. And I'm using the guise as sport to educate kids because, I'm not here to convince adults that they can do everything, although I kind of am. That's totally fine. You can, but I'm like, once I talk to a kid, I'm training this girl right now who's going to be Olympic gold medalist. And I don't have to deprogram her. She already knows this stuff. It's natural to her. She hasn't been screwed up by the world. So, get to the point of just understanding that you are infinite. You can do anything. And there are ways to do that. People have done that. You just need the right teachers. So check that out. And I'm all over social media, Matt Belair, Matt Belair podcast. So Google me, you'll find me, say hi. And that's it, man. And I hope that your life is good. I'm blasting all the listeners with love and kindness, abundance, prosperity, peace, knowing, balance.
Sending love and joy to the world and to the universe. I love it, Matt. Thank you very much for being a guest and for your time. And we'll stay in touch.
Sounds amazing, man.
Want more entrepreneurial tips? Go to timlaskus.com.